You are at work. You pick up your phone and open the pet camera app, and your stomach drops. Your dog is at the front door, pacing back and forth along the same 4 feet of floor, panting with their mouth open even though the house is not hot, letting out a long, low whine that turns into a full howl and then dies back down into whining again. And you sit there at your desk watching this on a 2-inch screen feeling completely helpless. So you do what most people do. You go looking for answers. You post in a forum. You ask in a Facebook group. You search online, and within minutes you have your answer. The same answer from dozens of different people, all saying the same thing with complete confidence. Get a second dog. Your dog is a pack animal. They need companionship. They are lonely. Bring home a puppy, and the problem will solve itself. They will have a friend to play with, sleep next to, keep each other company. They will forget you even walked out the door. I am going to tell you something that is going to save you a significant amount of money and prevent what could otherwise be a genuinely difficult situation in your home. That advice has essentially no support in the veterinary research. Not weak support, not mixed support, no support. And if you follow it, you are not solving the problem your dog has. You are adding a second animal to a situation you do not yet understand. And the outcome of that, in most cases, is not one calm dog. It is 2 distressed dogs and a neighbor who is reconsidering their relationship with you. Let me explain why the logic breaks down. The reasoning behind the second dog advice sounds solid on the surface. Dog is a pack animal. Pack animals are not meant to be alone. Therefore, add another member to the pack and the alone problem goes away. But this reasoning contains a fundamental misunderstanding of what is actually driving your dog's distress. Your dog is not suffering from a lack of company in the general sense. Your dog is not anxious because the concept of another animal is absent from the house. Your dog is suffering from the specific, targeted neurochemical absence of one particular individual. You, the attachment your dog has formed, is not to the idea of a companion. It is to you as an individual, your specific voice, your specific scent, your specific patterns of movement and routine, your nervous system, which their nervous system has been co-regulating with every single day. The 2015 Azabu University study showed that when dogs and their owners make eye contact, both brains release oxytocin simultaneously. Not oxytocin in response to any human, not oxytocin in response to any living being. Oxytocin in response to their specific person. That bond is neurochemical. It is biological. It is encoded in both of your bodies through months and years of shared proximity and repeated positive interaction. A second dog cannot replicate that. A second dog is a different creature entirely, with its own attachment needs, its own stress responses, and its own relationship to the space you leave behind when you walk out the door. And in 2021, researchers studied 77 dogs specifically to test whether multi-dog households reduced separation-related distress. The findings completely inverted the popular advice. Male dogs in multi-dog households actually vocalized more when left alone than single dogs in single-dog households. More, not less. The dog with a built-in companion was more distressed during owner absence than the dog living alone. Think about that for a moment, because it runs entirely counter to the intuition behind the advice. If the problem were loneliness in the general sense, adding a second dog should produce measurable improvement. Instead, it produced measurable worsening. Why? Because the distress was never about loneliness. It was about you. And adding a second dog does not address you being gone. It just adds another variable to an already dysregulated system. Now I want to explain something called emotional contagion, because this is the mechanism that turns the second dog solution from ineffective into actively harmful in many cases. Emotional contagion is the documented tendency of social animals to absorb and mirror the emotional states of the individuals around them. It is why human moods are contagious in offices and households. It is why laughter spreads, Why one anxious person in a room can make everyone else feel slightly uneasy without saying a word. Dogs experience emotional contagion at a particularly high level. They are exquisitely sensitive to the physiological and behavioral signals of stress in other dogs. Elevated heart rate, altered breathing, stress hormones in the air, postural signals of anxiety and distress. When you bring a new, relatively calm dog into a household with an anxious dog, two things can happen. The best-case scenario is that the new dog remains unaffected by the anxious dog's distress, which requires a genuinely robust temperament and usually a significant age and confidence differential. The more common scenario is that the new dog begins to absorb the anxious dog's panic response. It does not understand why the first dog is distressed, but it reads the signals of distress clearly, and its nervous system responds accordingly. Now you have two dogs in a state of elevated stress during owner absence. Two dogs pacing. Two dogs vocalizing. Two dogs potentially engaging in stress-related destructive behavior. And the neighbor who used to hear one dog howling now hears a duet. The second dog did not calm the first dog down. The first dog stressed the second dog out. And you have doubled the scope of the problem while adding the complexity of managing two animals to a behavioral rehabilitation process that was already challenging with one. This is not a hypothetical worst case. This is the documented pattern in case after case in veterinary behavioral practice. So let me address the follow-up question that I know is forming right now. If not a second dog, then what? And let me also address the solutions that sound good but do not work, because you may have already tried some of them. The puzzle toys, the stuffed Kongs, the long-lasting chews, the radio left on, the shirt with your scent on it in their bed. Some of these things can provide minor, temporary relief for mild cases. None of them address the underlying neurological issue that drives true separation anxiety. The food puzzle keeps them occupied for approximately as long as the food lasts, and then the food is gone, and they are still in an empty house with an unregulated nervous system, and nothing has changed. The radio provides auditory stimulation but no emotional information. Your dog's stress is not caused by silence. It is caused by the absence of a specific nervous system they have learned to regulate alongside. Background noise does not address that. And the calming products, the pheromone diffusers, the anxiety supplements, the calming collars have not demonstrated consistent clinically significant effects in rigorous placebo-controlled trials. The research on these products is, at best, mixed. And at worst, they give owners the false impression that the problem is being addressed while the underlying anxiety continues to compound. The only intervention with consistent clinical evidence behind it is graduated exposure. But I need to tell you something critical about graduated exposure, because most people who try it are doing it wrong. And doing it wrong does not produce slow progress. It produces no progress, or it makes the situation worse. Here is what doing it wrong looks like. You read about graduated exposure. You decide to leave your dog for 5 minutes and see how they do. 5 minutes for a dog in acute separation distress is not a starting point. 5 minutes is already a crisis. The barking that researchers have documented begins on average 3 minutes and 15 seconds after the owner leaves. Destructive behavior begins within 7 minutes. By the time 5 minutes have passed, your dog's nervous system is already spiked into full panic. You have not begun below their threshold. You have begun above it. And every repetition above their threshold is a repetition that reinforces the panic response, rather than teaching the nervous system a new one. The correct starting point for graduated exposure is not minutes, it is seconds. You stand up and walk towards your front door. You touch the door handle. You turn around and walk back to the couch. That is one repetition. You wait. You do it again. You open the door an inch. You close it. You come back. You step outside. You count to 10. You come back in. You are building something very specific with each of these repetitions. You are building a history of return. You are providing your dog's nervous system with the one piece of evidence it does not currently have. The door opening is not permanent loss. The door opening is always followed by the door closing and by your return. To you, standing at your own front door for 30 seconds and walking back to the couch feels pointless. It feels like you are not accomplishing anything. But here's what is happening inside your dog's nervous system during those 30 seconds. Their prediction system is receiving new data. You left, you came back, you left, you came back, over and over, at a duration that never allows their stress response to spike. You are rewriting the pattern that their brain has built around your departures. The door used to mean they are gone, and I do not know if they are coming back. You are teaching it to mean they are briefly gone, and they always come back. That is not a behavioral change. That is a neurological update, and neurological updates take repetition. They take patience. They take consistency, and they take starting at a duration that is genuinely below your dog's distress threshold, even if that duration feels laughably brief to you. Now let me walk you through the week-by-week structure of how this actually progresses. Week 1 is not about duration at all. Week 1 is about the concept. Every single departure, no matter how short, ends in return. You are building the foundational belief that departure and return are the same event, separated only by time. You are doing this at durations of seconds to 1 or 2 minutes. You are watching your dog's body language continuously. Soft body, easy breathing, ability to lie down during the absence, proceed, pacing, panting, whining, inability to settle. You have gone too far. Come back down to a shorter duration and rebuild from there. Week 2 is about extending those durations in the smallest increments you can tolerate tracking. Not doubling, not jumping from 2 minutes to 10 minutes because 2 minutes felt easy. Adding 30 seconds, adding a minute, watching the body language, treating any sign of spiking as information rather than failure, pulling back when needed. Rebuilding. The pace feels excruciatingly slow. It is supposed to. You are trying to stay consistently below the distress threshold so that no individual session ever gives the panic response a chance to activate and reinforce itself. Week 3 and beyond is where the accumulation begins to compound. Because here is the finding that veterinary practitioners report consistently across cases. There is a threshold. It sits at approximately 40 minutes. Once your dog can tolerate a 40-minute absence without their nervous system spiking, the progression to longer durations tends to follow at a significantly faster rate. Not because 40 minutes is arbitrary, because 40 minutes represents the point at which your dog has accumulated enough evidence to fundamentally rewrite their internal prediction about what your departures mean. Below 40 minutes, they are still holding the old story. The one where you might not come back. The one where departure is a potential ending. At 40 minutes and beyond, the new story has enough evidence to stand on its own. You always come back. And once that story is genuinely installed, at a nervous system level rather than just a behavioral level, the specific duration of your absence becomes far less significant. Because the fear that was driving the distress was never about the clock. It was about uncertainty. It was about the possibility that this departure might be the permanent one. And once the nervous system has been given enough proof that permanent departures do not happen, the uncertainty resolves, and the panic has nothing left to feed on. Let me also address what you do when you come home, because the return matters as much as the departure. If you come home after a successful absence and your dog is in an elevated state and you respond with frustration, if there is any evidence of stress behavior during the absence and you react with visible upset, you are associating your arrival with negative emotional content. Your dog cannot connect your frustration to something that happened 2 hours ago. Their cognitive system does not chain cause and effect across that time window. What they connect your frustration to is your return. And a dog that begins to associate your return with tension and negative energy is a dog that has reason to feel anxious about your return. which means the entire day becomes a loop. Anxious about you leaving, anxious about you coming back. No relief point, no moment that feels safe. Come home warmly, kneel down, use their name, make physical contact. Let the reunion be the safe, positive event that it needs to be if your return is going to function as the reward that makes the graduated exposure protocol work. Your dog's nervous system needs to learn that departure is temporary and that return is good. Both parts of that equation require your active participation. Now let me bring this all the way back to the dog on the camera. The one that is pacing at the front door. That dog is not badly trained. That dog does not need a companion. That dog does not need a puzzle toy or a pheromone diffuser or a calming supplement. That dog has a nervous system that has not yet been given enough evidence to trust that the door closing is not permanent. That is the entire problem. It is a belief problem at the level of the nervous system. And the only thing that changes a belief at the level of the nervous system is evidence. Repetitions of departure followed by return. Hundreds of them, starting with seconds, building slowly, staying below the threshold, until 40 minutes becomes possible, and 40 minutes becomes the foundation for everything that comes after. Your dog chose you. Out of every person and every option in their world, they formed their deepest attachment to you specifically. That is not the problem. That attachment is the most extraordinary thing about the relationship between your species and theirs. The problem is that nobody ever taught their nervous system that the attachment is safe, even when you are temporarily out of sight. That is your job now. And the tool for doing that job is not a second dog. It is your own front door, used slowly, used consistently, used with the patience of someone who understands that every single return is a deposit into a trust account that will eventually pay for itself in full. If this completely changed how you understand what your dog is experiencing when you leave, hit subscribe and leave a comment below telling me whether you have ever considered getting a second dog to fix the problem and whether you went through with it. I want to know what happened. I read every single comment, and the next video is going to explain something that happens inside your home every time you leave. In the silent houses where the dog does not bark, does not destroy, and greets you perfectly when you return. Because what the hidden cameras found in those quiet houses is one of the most important and overlooked discoveries in veterinary behavioral science. And once you see it, the quiet dog will never look the same way again. See you there.